Good evening, dear participants. Welcoming all for the 10th day International Research Methodology Workshop on citations, patents, and proposal writing for the funded projects. And we are happy to see you on Sunday. I thought today is Sunday that many of you people may not be able to come because today is Palm Sunday. I thought you people, many of you can ask for excuse, but very good. This shows that you people are really interested in this workshop, and again we are crossing what was that century for today. The good participants yesterday, resource person was really happy that she was able to interact with you, and you people also interacted together. As per the request for yesterday, we are not locking the group, keeping it open, and kindly ensure that I won't use the word make sure. I'm using the word ensure. Kindly ensure that the group follows a strict discipline line. Okay, don't disturb mistakenly by mistakenly. Right? We won't do mistakenly. Sorry, what was that? Revenge purposefully. By mistakenly, we may able to do. So please don't disturb the class. Let it close because she told me that she's having some exercise today. As like, if I lock the meeting, it won't be useful for anyone. So we are keeping the meeting open so that you also can have a healthy interaction. Please don't miss the class and tomorrow's class also. So we will come to know about the entire process about how to make a research proposal for the funded projects. And today is day two. As like yesterday, we have introduced the same resource person for today. She will be taking the classes for us for today, Anuja ma'am. And tomorrow also she'll be taking the classes. So we have only 2 more days. Somehow successfully we have completed 10 days. With almost 20 hours we are going to complete. But anyway, sincere thanks to all the participants. Without your support, it is nothing. And you people have done made a good cooperation, and sincerely thankful to all the collaborators. First of all, collaborators from Punjab, collaborators from Tamil Nadu, collaborators from Manipur, many institutions they came forward for collaboration, and they have done just for collaboration, and they have done a lot of works, and we are very happy for that. And we are excited to inform you that we will be having our international faculty development program on teaching pedagogy on in the upcoming month. What was it, the month May? So we are getting ready for it. If you're interested to join with us with your department or your college level, please. We are finalizing with the brochures. We are expecting more than 20 collaborations. This event we done with 10 collaborations for this international MDP. We are expecting more than 20 collaborations, and all your name will be included in the certificate, and all the collaborators' name will be included certificate, since it is an international event with a credit course. It is not only FTP alone, it is more than a 4 credit course. So all the participants will be getting benefited, and all the collaborators, and don't miss this golden opportunity. Yes, without taking much time, now let me hand over the session to ma'am, and Ms. Anuja. She will be taking care of today's session. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, everyone. Welcome you all again in continuation to what we covered yesterday. So today, as you see here on the slide, we are going to deep dive further into research design components. We'll do a little recap, brush up for qualitative and quantitative mixed methods, how to do selection, and when to do this to selection, how to make those choices. We will see sampling in detail. What are the tools of sampling? How does the data collection happen? We'll spend some time understanding how are interviews done, what are the good practices, what are do's and don'ts of doing a good interview. That is all a part of data collection. We will also look at some of the important analytical frameworks. And we will also look at some of the data analysis frameworks. So when I say analytical frameworks, these are evaluation frameworks or big frameworks which on the basis of which evaluations are done or data is analyzed. When I say data analysis framework, in both quantitative and qualitative data, when you look at the data, what are the kind of frameworks do you use in order to make meaning of the data? We'll also look at what is available online, like things have become pretty easy with the tools available online to support us with data analysis. What are those tools we have to do a good data analysis? We'll also cover a little bit on the IRB and the ethical considerations, what starting from what is a good consent form to how to involve a participant in doing an informed written consent. So, and then the IRB process as well. So that is what we want to cover today. We have a good uh, 2 hours, and we do have 2 exercises in between as well. So I would urge all of you to wholeheartedly participate. Okay, so I'm going to start with where I left yesterday, and it's kind of looking at mm, so we did cover quantitative, qualitative methods yesterday, and this is a short recap about what we did. Not in the same content of slides, I tried to do something different where we can move a little quickly as well as can also recap for where we left from. Okay, so quantitative research. So quantitative research is a systematic way of gathering and analyzing numerical data. We saw a lot of ways in which numerical data can be. Yesterday, we saw how numbers, if whatever is is gathered and if it is not measured, it doesn't talk to you good enough. And how to do that is where all numerical data can get together and have different ways in which it can have meaning. So what quant data actually helps us answer is how many, how often, to what extent, and all in the realm of quantum, in the realm of numbers. Um, so there is definitely a power of how many. And why do we care about knowing how many? Because only when we test it, these numbers then turn into facts. It gives us that proof that out of a population it might be a chaos, which might be many, which might be not making sense. By testing it, we have an answer. It gives us evidence, it gives us proof of how many, how much percentage or how many out of the total population. We looked at the magic tools yesterday. The close-ended works very well. We have close-ended yes and no, which is a very dichotomous way of asking yes and no or true and false. We looked at rating scale or numeric scale. We looked at Likert scale, which is a 5-point scale. It starts from strongly disagree, disagree, neutral, agree, and strongly agree from left to right. It's a simple scale in it's done. So to sum up, so quantitative research, the what and how many, the goal here, it generalizes results from a sample to a large population. It answers how much, how many. It also understands the relationship between the variables. It gives us data in terms of numbers, stats, graphs. We'll look at how different types of statistics also in our further slides. And what methods to use in order to arrive that. These are survey with close-ended questions, systematic observations, etc. When do we do qualitative research? When quantitative asks for what and how many, qualitative on the other side looks at why and how. It kind of dwells into deeper concepts, deeper thoughts, experiences. It looks at complex problems and asks more questions, which goes into deeper way of why experiential of how it looks at the feeling factor. It looks at the human side of the topic behind the behaviors. It looks at why has a particular phenomenon happened. Why do people feel like this? What do they mean when they say something like that? So what is the data here we analyze? These are, there are words, there are videos, there are person stories, and what methods do we use? Well, yesterday we saw this in quite in-depth interviews, focus group discussions, which are FGDs, and case studies. So one thumb rule is, so when we were looking at yesterday, even in making these questions, or how we ask questions in qualitative or quantitative, one thumb rule is the rule of garbage in, garbage out. The stronger your questions are, the stronger your questions are in your survey tool or your interview guide, both in your quantitative as well as qualitative uh, research tools, the stronger it is, you're likely to get that richer data. Okay, so we're going to do a small exercise here. It's a good number which has joined. I was trying to take a recap for about 5-7 minutes in order to wait that we have maximum participants joining. We have a good number and we can do this exercise. So the task here is, I have these 5 statements on the next slide, which I'm going to show you all. Okay, and these are purposefully. So yesterday if you remember, we spoke about leading questions and neutral questions. So I want the group to think that what is the key difference between a leading question and a neutral question. So I have put here some leading questions. Okay, there's just 5. So what I would encourage all of you is to convert these leading questions. They are all leading questions. There is none of these 5 which you see on the screen are neutral questions. I want you all to convert these leading questions into neutral questions. Okay. If you all have any questions, you can ask. But I would, and even if you're like, don't worry what kind of scale you're using. Do you want to make it open-ended? Do you want to make it close-ended? I completely leave it up to you how you want to change this leading question into a neutral question. I completely leave that choice up to you. Okay, and I want you to really try, even if you do like uh, completely like do 2-3 of them and not all 5, it's completely all right. But I would really want you all to sincerely try in converting these leading questions into neutral questions. Now imagining you want to keep this this in a questionnaire. How will you want these questions to be? So we will take about it's 6:15. We will take time up till 6:20. And all of you, whenever you are done, I would encourage you all to type all 5 statements in the chat. And we all can see each other's responses. And then we'll take about another 5 minutes to discuss. Yeah. One more instruction, don't write single answers. I would want you to write for as many as possible in a single response. So when you are done for all five, gather them in your notebook or wherever you are, you can type it out and then paste all five together in the chat. Thank you. Okay. For those who have just joined, this is an exercise. This is a list of leading questions. The task is to convert these leading questions into neutral questions, which can go into a questionnaire or a interview guide. So can we type out if everybody is done with the exercise? I see some responses, very few actually. I would encourage people to write down their responses. Yes, this is nice one. Do you like a new website layout? The first one, yes, it is a closed-ended question. The response you will get is yes and no. I'm sure you are writing about how do you rate this new website. I believe you will give a numeric rating from 1 to 5 or 1 to 10. Okay, but I just have two of these only for the first question. How about the others? Do we have other responses coming? Okay, fantastic. We have Rajbinder Kaur writing. Okay. What do you dislike about the new? Okay. Okay. We will Rajbinder ji, हम देखते हैं कि हम आगे कैसे इसको 40 जब हम आगे की स्लाइड में जाएंगे हम आपको दिखा पाएंगे कि what kind of words generally not to use. But thank you for writing your responses. How does our product compare with others? Yeah, that's an open-ended question. Mm, what is your impression regarding the new website? That's an open-ended question again. Do you support tax cut since most? Okay, that's a closed-ended question. Yes, no. How our products are for use? Okay, this is an open-ended, but this is little vague. How do you feel about the, yes, this is an open-ended question, certainly. How do pollution levels affect you or your surroundings? This is again an open-ended question. How have the new office hours impacted your routine? This is again open-ended question. Like you're expecting an answer to be written maybe in couple of words or a couple of sentences, because that's how you framed your questions to be. Nice, thank you. Thank you, Shrija, for sharing. Mm, yeah, we're going to wait for a couple of minutes more. I would want at least 3, 4 more different ways of converting these leading questions into neutral questions. How tax cuts helps people? Very, very, very open-ended, because this kind of an open-ended question will elicit very varied responses. But yes, yeah, I understand you have made it. You have actually cut a very um, leading question, converted into from a leading question to a more neutral question. Thank you, Putu. Do we have other responses coming in? I'm going to wait a couple of more at least. Okay. Sidhuja M has to share here. Okay. What is your opinion on the new website? Like very much, good, neutral, dislike very much. Okay. Nice. What are your views on the pollution levels? That's open. Do the new office hours suit you? That's close again in a responsive of yes and no. How do you feel about the new? And that's again open. Rate our product based on ease of use compared to others in the market. Fantastic. 1 to 10 rating. That's fantastic. Thank you, Shiduja, for sharing this very well. Sukanya has to write about closed standard yes and no. Do you like yes and no? Are you concerned about yes? These are again yes and no, very closed yes and no, strict yes and no question. But it's a great attempt. Thank you, Sukanya, for sharing your responses. Okay, wonderful. So we're going to look at how I would request everyone to put their mics on mute, and as and when you want to write in the chat box, please do. Please use the chat box for discussions. Okay, so to do this exercise, Dr. Sejal, you have to put your mic. Okay, so
Yes, ma'am, we have locked the meeting. Now you can start.
yeah, no problem. The exercise is over, so that's not a problem. Okay.
Yes.
So, why we actually did this exercise is till this date, it's over like 15, 20 years of of designing research tools, and I graduated from doing it on pen and paper to move to doing it in Word format, to now using SurveyMonkey and Google Forms, to using Kobo toolbox. In all of it, you're actually taught, and when you start putting down the questions, you as human have biases, and you kind of frame questions in a way where what response you elicit from your respondents, you kind of make your questions accordingly. So till this date, between we researchers, we laugh at each other's framing, and sometimes we tell each other to constantly keep changing and improvising our questions. This is a trap, and if research as we researchers are very if we researchers are mindful of, and we keep telling ourselves to make this step cleaner, more neutral, have a look at it over and over again to improvise it, we can actually get very rich data out of our respondents. So we're going to quickly look at how the neutral questions can look like in each of these. So in the first one, of course, the leading bit was dislike. You know, here the question actually assumes that the user dislikes it. So one way of doing it is actually making it open-ended, like please share your thoughts, and many of you also shared accordingly. The second one, it's interesting to see. So how concerned are you about dangerous pollution levels? So you're leading your participant to do different assumptions. A, you think everybody is concerned about pollution, and B, you're assuming that everybody is concerned to a level that they find it dangerous. So instead of actually you're actually putting a lot of weight on your participant to perceive danger and their concern regarding the same. So instead, you can, of course, one of you converted in this open, but you can use a 10-point scale or a 5-point scale in describing the level of concern regarding local population, which makes it neutralized, and it takes the weight of your participant. Do you agree new office hours are better? Now, so when you put agree in your question itself, you are doing uh, an assumed, you're making an assumption that most of you is going to lean towards agreement. So in I want people to say yes, and that is why, don't you agree? So you say, so it is normally also in conversations when we say, don't you agree, this is great, and then the person is not left with any choice of saying no, and then person then says yes, of course. So rather, keeping it open is a great way. What is your opinion? This kind of removes the pressure of the respondents to agree with the researcher. Also, if you want to convert this into a numeric rating scale, you can actually give a range, or maybe have an open-ended yes and no. Do you like the new office timings? Then yes and no. If yes, what is it that you like the new change more? So you kind of have graded into in agreement or non-agreement, and then a supporting question. So again, this is since most people support tax cut, do you? Now this is again social pressure. You're again putting your biases and your social pressure on the respondent. So to make it an open is a better thing. I really like the way one of you wrote in the chat about the product use, and you converted into a rating scale. How do you compare the ease of use of product? And it doesn't actually, so when you say our product is easier to use, you're again kind of leading the respondent towards what you want to actually hear from the respondents. So yeah, this is about the framing questions. One needs to be mindful, keep reminding ourselves that how to neutralize our questions better and better. Um, yeah. So yeah, thank you for participating for this interesting exercise. We're going to move to the next segment on interview techniques. So all of it, what I have curated today as content is interrelated. So I might go back to one or two topics. If you could remember the sequence, or at least the topics covered, it will be nice. Um, so what happens in an and why this is important? Um Interview techniques, as we all get trained, be it in academics or be it in social work, be it studying humanities or management. We all get trained when we are in college, how to take interview, how to appear for interview. In social research side, I'm going to today talk about how to conduct interviews. So how do you do face-to-face, or um, how do you do online interviews? What to avoid, what to do, what are great practices? So we're going to spend some time looking at those things. Yeah, and this might be very, again, little revision, little generic, little something which we want to reiterate and remind ourselves in our daily work as social researchers. Okay. So the left side is do's. I'm going to look at first the do's and then the don'ts. Um, First principle is always arrive prepared, have reviewed the questionnaire. Like, I always tell my team that your tablets, if it is a CAPI based, your tablet needs to be charged. If you're doing a pen and paper, you have your paper and pen ready. Um, so preparation is important. Preparation also talks about how serious you are for the exercise, and it also showcases the respondent very well that their time is important. Now imagine a scenario where you have called people from the community or students. So everybody, so in today's world, time is money. And when you are offering your time, and that this, for that matter, I'm really grateful for this audience to be here as well, because you have invested your 20 hours, 24 hours for this program, and you have showed up. That means that you want to be here at that particular hour. And similarly, if the person on the other side do not have the gratitude for an acknowledgement of collective time of everybody's, and is not enough prepared, then you are definitely wasting somebody's time. And also, um, I would also go in a partial way of disrespect of the cause you are associated with. So preparation is important. To read your questionnaire and come, always introduce yourself to the respondent, put that person at ease, be polite, be respectful, use a very good and a positive body language. Your posture, your facial expressions need to showcase that you're interested and not disinterested. These days, mobile is a great way of distraction. If you constantly have your mobile phone with you, around you, constantly looking at the mobile while you're talking to the person is definitely going to look at you as a distracted person. And this is something which I keep telling my research investigators also on the ground, that if you have to be mindful, ऐसा कुछ भी important नहीं है जो आप बाद में नहीं कर सकते, जहाँ पे आपको बार बार अपना स्क्रीन देखने की जरूरत पड़े. हम अज्यूम, जैसे कि कल भी मैं आई अज्यूम दैट दिस ऑडियंस इज गोइंग टू बी कंफर्टेबल इन इंग्लिश, एंड आई in fact went ahead 45-50 minutes in English till somebody actually wrote to me in chat that can I do a little mix of Hindi. but yeah, so you need to ask the respondent what language are they comfortable before you start to the interview, and you should be able to willingly change languages as well. Phone, I definitely um, uh, covered. It's a big distraction. Phone these days is a very big distraction. I see it as a big problem and field as well. And that is not on the side of interviewers as well. That's the side of on the side of respondent as well. So if you can politely say that, listen, I'm going to take your 20 minutes. If you can keep our phones silent, and if you can be present with me for 20 minutes, at least a request can be done. I've also seen a lot of participants extremely distracted during FGDs as well, because at FGD is a setting where you kind of put a group together in a semicircle setting, or a little cozy setting of assembling it together, and you constantly see people on their phones. So yeah, that it's a great distraction on both sides. But yeah, what we can control as social researchers, we should try and control and be as present and as true to ourselves. Obtain informed consent and answer the questions. You should always ask that what is your purpose. We should always say what is your purpose. We will see how consent is taken in the subsequent slides. And you should always begin with making the respondent comfortable and giving the person also to ask questions. Do you have any questions? Can we begin? That's a good way of proceeding. Stay focused on the interview, listen intentfully and to the respondent, not hurried, not rush, uh, and keep track of time. It is quite often it happens that it can go, especially in-depth interview can actually, in a couple of questions, can go into an area which is very deep, or it is deviating from the topic, and you have to navigate and bring the respondent back on the track. Okay, so that is something which needs to be done. Introduce each section of questionnaire. So this is very important, and this is not every time the interviewer or researcher does it. There are usually, when it is a long questionnaire, it is maybe about like 15-20 minutes, there it is broken into sections. So when you actually introduce each section, you kind of are also giving the room to respondent to switch as you are switching your set of questions. So it is a good idea. If two sections are very different from each other, it is a good idea to introduce the sections. And in a structured questionnaire, it is good to follow the order, because it is scientifically designed in a way that there is an order to it, unless and until you find it comfortable that the sequence is going a couple of questions here and there, but the order is good. Should always thank the respondent for their time. Time is valuable, and so one should save the questionnaire if it is a copy and a paste way in terms of entering, or keep it safe whenever you've logged in, and most importantly, have fun. So it's very important to stay invested and have fun. I mean, the left side is all do's. So right side, if you see, it is kind of, everything which you don't do in the left side is on the right. Is You can't look bored, you can't look non-interested, you can't take the conversation completely one-tracked. If you can't proceed the interview, if there is no proper consent, if the interviewer has all the right, interviewee has all the right to reject giving information to you. So you can't negatively respond if there is something which you don't expect and respondent to answer. You cannot have your own biases in, but you have to log in whatever the respondent has to say at that point of time, with all due respect. Yeah. So this is certain do's and don'ts, and this goes into both settings of structured questionnaire as well as FGD setting or an IDI or a KII. मतलब ये ग्राउंड रूल्स हैं कि ये इतना ध्यान में रख के हम चलेंगे तो हमारा 20-25 मिनट या आधा घंटा जो भी हम रिस्पोंडेंट के साथ स्पेंड करेंगे वो बाकायदा इट इज गोइंग टू बी फ्रूटफुल is what the expectation is. So in continuation to what we saw here, I also wanted to um, uh, take some time in taking this group through probing techniques. Now this is for more in-depth interview, okay, and where you are a very patient listener, what all that you can actually probe and how you can probe. So on the right side, if you see, these are examples of effective probes. Direct questions like, what do you mean when you say this? How did this happen? How do you feel about it? After that, what happened? Can you please tell me more about it? Can you little elaborate on the same? I'm not sure whether I understood this the right way. Could you please explain more? How did you handle the current situation? How did you handle how did you handle this situation or a person? How did this incident affect you? Can you please elaborate? Can you give me an example? So these are very effective probes in which you can actually take the conversation ahead. Sometimes it happens that the other side doesn't want to talk much, even if you have an open-ended question. So, for example, एक example दे सकती हूँ कि आपको ये जो इराक और करंट जो वर्ल्ड वॉर सीन जैसा हो रहा है विश्व में, उसके बारे में आपको क्या लगता है? तो सडनली आपको आपको क्वेश्चन आ सकता है कि नथिंग, आई डोंट फील एनीथिंग, नथिंग. So if to avoid that, you don't want to restrict at that. What you can actually use is try with these kind of probes and probe the respondent little further in seeing that अगर कहीं नज आपका कुछ नज होने से वो open up हो रहे कि नहीं हो रहे. There are these types of probes, the what and what questions, there are the silent probes, silent probes में ऐसा होता है कि you wait, and you give that pause, you give that silence in between for the respondent to come back. Sometimes ऐसा भी होता है कि you're busy writing what the respondent is saying, and your attention is little gone. So you can always say, I apologize, can you please repeat what you are saying? So उसमें इसमें क्या होता है कि you are kind of letting the continuity in your conversation be. There is something called echo probe. Echo is, as we know, आप लास्ट जो बोले हो वो आप रिपीट कर रहे हो. जैसे किसी ने बोला है कि हमने उनसे बहुत बार बोला पर we told the person many times but they don't listen at all. So me as a interviewer will say कि okay, they don't listen, then what do you do? So I repeat the last bit what the person has to say and then convince them to go further. Then in echo you can always use right, okay, yes, I see, then what happens, and then kind of repeat it and then say then what happens. Indirect probes are neutral, they are verbal, they are little non-verbal, they are little in our cultural setting, a simple nod as yes, I understand, yes, I'm with you, ठीक है, मतलब what you non-verbally express as a person, being present there, and when you nod or maybe close your eyes a little bit, these are all indirect probes in which the person feels comfortable. Yeah, so this was one section of interviewing. It goes again very well with your structured questionnaire, with your structured questionnaire in terms of quant data. It goes very well with your loose open-ended question, which is interview guide for your FGD, for your for in-depth interviews and KIIs. Excuse me. So, so what does one sorry? So what does one do? So we saw what are the good do's and don'ts when on field. We also will quickly look at what are the ethical considerations, starting with consent, going up to taking permissions where the study involves human subjects, getting the IRB, which is institutional research bodies, clearance. Okay. So some of the ethical considerations while interviewing, you can get into a situation where you have to first safeguard yourself, and it is not always the safe. So this is very important aspect. You perceive the surroundings, you make sure that you're not alone, maybe in a group of two or with someone. You have to minimize, as an interviewee, you have to minimize your risk, your personal risk, and safety comes priority. So then there is no comms in prioritizing your personal safety. Any given point of time you feel that it is an unsafe situation, be it because of any external factors, you can exit. Get informed consent with no coercion. So this is an important thing, and we'll see how the informed consent is taken below. It's important to have certain steps when you take consent. When you read out that and then you introduce yourself as in a full name, and then say you are for this particular project, and you need this much of time, introduce the purpose of why you are here for the meeting, and then ask categorically that if you are ready, we will proceed further. That's how a logical way of informed consent is taken. And it's necessary, there can be no coercion for it. In places where you use photographs, any kind of data security, or any kind of uh, uh, aspects related to personal identifiers, and you need to take a written consent, then there is a form, and usually there is in written consent there is a date and sign, which is extremely important. Otherwise the written consent is not valid without signature and date and place mentioned below the written consent form. So you have to ensure anonymity and confidentiality to a great extent. You cannot have your own stories coming in on field. आप अपना कहानी उधर बताने के लिए नहीं है, आप research as a researcher data collection के लिए है. Interpreters field team ready करना चाहिए, and you have to be prepared for any emergency interventions. Usually social setting में ऐसा होता नहीं है, but this is very important for people who do data collection in difficult areas, like for example cases of domestic abuse, cases of child trafficking, cases of women trafficking. So all of these are very sensitive issues where there can be multiple parties involved, multiple and you as an external person is viewed as a threat. So these are areas you need to be careful about. Sixth is very important, not hesitate to help others and put your information to good use. We are all social researchers. There is no point, we are not market researchers here. So if there is something which you have found which is alarming, which is problematic and cannot be shared in a strict contractual setting, do not hesitate to gather information out in other way, because it could be that you withholding an information might put risk to somebody else on ground. Okay, so informed consent is, so if you see the second part, say you have to say it loud to the participant. And if you're recording it, you need to actually record it. So if there is a proper informed consent taken, where there is IRB, this is usually this part A. If you see the purpose of the study: authorization, methods of data collection, participant selection, voluntary participation, right to withdrawal, risk, benefits and reimbursements, sharing of the summary results and confidentiality, and whom to contact. Now, if this is a detailed way in which informed consent is usually taken, when your respondents are is human subjects, say clinical trials, or any kind of drug based therapy, or something where your nutrition levels are monitored, your BP, heart rate, etc., is closely monitored, which is your body parameters is gone. So all of those studies require a process which needs to be undergone, which is called the IRB. We will look at IRB in next couple of slides. So what is an institutional review board? It's also called IC sometimes REB. IC is Independent Ethics Committee or Research Ethics Board, REB. Why is this set up? It is set up to protect the rights, safety, and welfare of the research participants. Uh, just because we are curious humans, trials on human subjects cannot be compromising their rights and safety and welfare. So what happens when a research design is proposed? So first we'll see what kind of studies need IRB. So as I mentioned, clinical trials, research, testing, and safety and effectiveness of, say, new drugs or medical device, or looking at biologics, behavioral science and social research to analyze human behavior, attitudes, beliefs, opinions. So behavior and social research also requires IRB. Data specimen collection. So this is biological samples, which I just mentioned. It could be your saliva or blood sample, or any of the internal body parameters of nutrition, of maybe hemoglobin, or all of those internal records. I might not know many details on it, but anything to do with, say, if I'm monitoring diabetes, or heart or nutrition levels on a set of population, that will also require an IRB clearance. Any academic research also which involves human participants requires IRB clearance. So this is the purpose of which kind of studies require IRB clearance. So most of, like, these are, like, this is my limited knowledge of the western part of the country where I come from, and my little interaction with the IRBs. So major social science institutes, such as Tata Institute, IIPS here in Bombay, they have their own IRB boards to review the faculty and students' proposals on researchers. So, and I'm also aware that a large think tanks or research body, be it market research organizations, or somebody like ORF or uh, OPI, or others who are large organizations, they also have their own committee. On organizations like there's an organization called Sehat here in Bombay, which looks at health research very much in detail, and they have their own IRB committee. So in how to reach out to IRB, and what is the way to do that? It's a rigorous process, and usually researchers have to submit a packet a package of rational methodology, data collection tools, there is an interview guide. If there is a pilot done, how a set of informed consent documents must be provided in English, as well as in, if it is a different language, then different languages, informed consent too, and a data management plan, and how long will be the data stored, etc., and how confidentiality will be maintained. So it's usually a process where IB clearance takes, in my limited understanding, again, it takes, when you, after you submit, it takes about a good 2 to 3 months for the whole process to go through, because there's a jury who reviews. In fact, there are also, in my little experience, there are also rounds which happen, where committee might tell you to change a certain thing, you change and again resubmit your documents, and the board again looks at it. So once the clearance happens, then study can be formally rolled out. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to uh, switch to some important frameworks, and mm, I'm just give me one moment. I'm going to look at where. Yeah, okay, we can continue with the frameworks. Any questions? Anything which we are an hour into the training, so I want to pause for a minute and see how we are. Is everything okay? Can I proceed ahead? Am I going too fast? You can let me know. I can slow down my pace a little bit. Okay. 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 Okay, so here are some important frameworks. Okay, so when I say frameworks, these are very widely used in social research, in evaluations, in looking at how the project has progressed further, and this is again from my experience of designing action research and evaluations on ground, which is um, more not on the academic side, but more on the practical side of usage of research. Okay. Yes. Okay, so you have a question, Preeti? Yes, I can take a moment. You have a question, and then we can proceed on the frameworks. You have a question regarding collecting data on sensitive topics. Yeah, it's a task. Um, so I think the training is something which is very undermined, and usually training is also something, training of, when I say training, training of your data collectors. There is a lot, in fact, on the funding side also, there's a lot of problem in explaining to the funders that why do you want to train your data collectors before they go on field. um, I'm assuming when you say, Ms. Preeti, on the side of sensitive topics will be topics of abuse or violence or trafficking, or something which is very personal, like it could be as personal as infertility or uh, yeah. So I'm assuming that these are sensitive topics. I think more prepared your troop on ground is, um, in in terms of training. It's always good to um, it's always good. So what I normally practice is, again, age old thing, that you prepare, you create mocks, you do mock interviews together, you actually put all the scenarios on pen and paper and visualize in your head that what can actually be a fallout or a probe question which might be required. So I think the one best way to go about it is preparation, preparation, and preparation. So these are ground rules, and these are age-old research rules, and they actually don't fly out of the window anytime. And basically, there are no shortcuts to it. With all the tools coming in, we can do it smartly. We can quickly make a research tool like within 2 days, which used to earlier take maybe 5 days to think through and make it. All of that can happen with all the AI tools and all the help available to us. But this part is something where, especially because we deal with humans, we deal with human subjects, we deal with social research, with aspects which are as such quite sensitive. It is the preparation which counts end of the day. And I also feel technical along with what you have to ask. We always need to have a technical know-how of the subject. So it is not necessary that all the researchers on ground have the same technical expertise all the time for each of the areas. So if you have a research, so you have enumerators and you have a research investigator or a field inspector or field investigator, whatever name you want to call. Say you have 10 enumerators, you have a research investigator or a team lead or a lead investigator looking after these 10. You have to make sure that this person is a technical person. Matlab, this person cannot be a generic research investigator. Your your enumerators could have multiple research topic exposure, but your lead investigator, uh, I would recommend to always be a technical person with a technical know-how. So yeah, that helps. I hope I've been able to answer Ms. Preeti, and if we can proceed ahead. Okay. Uh, okay. Okay, so I'm going to look at some important frameworks here. Uh, this is a very age-old framework, still very widely used in academic research, very widely used in action research, in CSR projects. In fact, what I experience is that there are a lot of wider audiences have started using this framework in the last 7 to 8 years. This when I say earlier, it used to restrict to academics and maybe think tanks. Now you see CSR, those on the other side, on the company's side, the CSR committee or people who roll out the CSR project, they have their logic framework very tightly made, and they then look at partners who would then um, contribute to the activity. So if you see uh, the first one, here is where the funding is. So imagine if and on the funding side is a CSR actor, and they have made this logical framework and they're looking at a particular impact. So what they would actually do is look at partners who would be able to contribute in 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 making sure that these activities happen, and subsequently outputs, and these activities, for that they might have multiple partners in order to do these activities and output and subsequent outcomes to reach the right. So in this case, or what happens is there can be more than one project as well. For a large CSR, I'm just giving a CSR for an example so that we can understand this a little clearly. So for a CSR, it could be project A could be say on education, and project B could be on skilling. Okay. So skilling and education, what it is wanting to do is to create an impact, say my impact statement could be, because it is a little long term, it could be empowered. I'm just framing it in my head. It cannot be, pardon me if it is not sharp enough, but empowered, 10 lakh empowered um, students in 4 states of India. Okay, so that's a big impact statement here. So me as CSR, I would, a CSR body, I would invest in, say, in funding. So these are my inputs. So my inputs are resources, money, of course, trainings, the partners I get on board. So these are all the inputs. What activities they do here is, at a partner level, whomsoever I get on board as an implementing partner would then further work with schools, with colleges, and what would be the outputs? Outputs would be XX number of people students trained, and what it then leads to, better retention in school, better transition rates, from passing from 8th standard to going to 10th standard, or 10th standard to 12th standard, or 12th standard to college levels. When it comes to getting skilled, once you get skilled, moving from one transition point of looking at internships, from internships to proper placements. So this is where the whole, in a graded way, and a CSR actor would actually put their buckets into. Yeah. So this is very widely used. So, and I see a lot of projects in a small scale, large scale, use this very well. A lot of philanthropy organizations, a lot of trust in India also uses logical framework very widely. This is another important framework, which is used in the evaluation world. So when I say in the evaluation world is agencies like mine. We use this for every second or third project which we do. It's again very widely used. It is called the OECD DAC framework. I'm going to read out what it does. So there are 6 criteria, 6 parameters in this. It usually starts from the bottom left, relevance. So so relevance usually answers the question like, is the intervention doing the right things? Coherence on the top right. Coherence is how well the intervention fits. So that intervention in an ecosystem of government doing something, other partners doing something, others who are contributing into the same space. How is the particular intervention fitting in this ecosystem? Efficiency looks at how well are the resources used. And so no, resources, it's always not about just monetary resources. It is about people. It is about trained resources. It is about on-ground investments. All of it. So how well are the resources used here? Effectiveness looks at, is the intervention achieving its objectives? So this is where the logic framework promises comes in. So when there is objectives, there is always a measurable matrix under which you want to look at how well is the project or a program doing. So effectiveness parameter looks at, if I had said that a 60% increase in awareness levels. So effectiveness of the parameter is actually, if my promise is 60% increase, the effectiveness will look at whether it happens 60% or not. If it happened or 70, then fantastic. What are the reasons? If it happens 55, then what are the reasons? So effectiveness is where all of this is looked at. Impact is in the same way of what we see in the logic framework. What objectives are set in order to achieve what kind of what is the input and activities done in order to have what kind of outcomes and impact. So what is the intervention? What difference is it making? And sustainability is the last. I usually in the order sustainability impact ke baad aata hai, and sustainability looks at what are the kind of large scale benefits, and how is it likely to last for a longer period? What is the ripple effect, and how can it be taken forward? So yeah, this is something which I wanted to talk to the group, that is because this is a very important framework. Okay. Next one I want to talk about is SROI. I'm sure you guys have heard about this. There are 6 stages in this kind of analysis framework. The stage 1 is identifying key stakeholders. Stage 2 is about mapping outcomes. Stage 3 is collecting evidence around each of the outcomes. Stage 4 is establishing effect. Stage 5 is calculating the SROI ratio, and stage 6 is about reporting and using it. So this is how SROI analysis is done. It is a framework. It's principle based method for measuring and accounting for a broad concept of value. So these are 3 aspects which are calculated in this. There is this social, there is environmental, and there is economic. So usually it is not just looked at how much investment is done and how much is the profitability, but here it is uh, uh, here it is more looking at that how is your investment trying to look at a return which is more social. So typically, the ratio here is quantified in a way where if 100 rupees are invested in a particular cause, say of sanitation, the SROI will look at impact of this 100 rupees on 3 aspects holistically, which is social, environment, and economic. And there is a way in which ratio setting and calculations are done under all 3 through the use of formulas. And typically it's expressed in a ratio. For example, if 100 rupees are invested, then the return on investment is, for example, the calculation comes to 137. So in that way, the ratio then goes to 1:1.3. So if 100 rupees are invested, the return on investment is 137. So the ratio is calculated, it is represented in the form of 1:1.3. So when there is a 3 times more return on investment, it can be represented as 1 as into 3. I'm not an expert in doing SROI. We have experts who, because they require a certain amount of expertise in doing calculation. But I thought I would introduce this to the group, since we are all here talking about different frameworks. Another important, these two are quant-based and call-based mix. But this one, which I'm right now going to talk about, which is appreciative inquiry, this is absolutely qualitative-based framework. What we do, what does appreciative inquiry does is, and this is one framework which I've used and I've really liked, and I got introduced to this by one of my American collaborator in one of the projects we did, and it was their requirement to do in a certain particular framework, which then got me interested in learning it and also executing it. And I thought, because this audience is about social researcher, I would take a chance to introduce to you all as well. So what happens in this kind of framework, it goes into it, instead of focusing on deficit or problem, जैसे कि कभी कभी क्या होता है कि इवैल्यूएटर्स एक परसेप्शन लेके चलते हैं कि व्हाट इज द प्रॉब्लम, हम अंदर जाके ढूंढ के आते हैं कि क्या प्रॉब्लम है, क्या किसकी वजह से नहीं काम हो रहा है, किसकी वजह से हो रहा है, वगैरह वगैरह. सो वो जो लेंस है, what appreciative inquiry does, instead of a deficit focused problem solving lens, it takes an appreciative inquiry lens. So उसमें क्या होता है, inherently आप बहुत अप्रिशिएट करते हो आपके रिस्पोंडेंट और ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को, एंड यू ट्राई एंड कैप्चर अबाउट द पीक मोमेंट्स, core values, what has gone right, what has happened, what motivates them to go in a certain direction, what collaborations or partnerships and possibilities which has worked. And you do a forward looking and an encouraging plan where you don't talk about deficits more, but you kind of encourage them to move forward with their best experiences and core values, which they've been able to foster. So this works fantastically well when you are actually doing um, an organizational level इंटरवेंशन. कभी कभी ऐसा होता है कि आप प्रोग्राम को नहीं, पूरे एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को देखना चाहते हैं, एंड क्रिटिकल लेंस doesn't always help. So it is good to look at something which is more appreciative and more forward looking than this. Okay, so these are the 4 frameworks. Okay, now we're going to again switch back to Kant methods. I'm going to quickly look at a question. There is a question before going ahead. Just a minute. No, I can't see the window. Sorry. Okay, I'll move ahead. If there is another question, I'll open my window then. Okay. Um. So so we are going to quickly look at sampling, and these slides will move a little quicker because I mean they will also move quicker because you will have a lot of time to refer them, and then we will again look at some analysis framework. Okay, so I have a, we can take a 2-minute thing. Fantastic. Okay, so I did plan another exercise. If admin, I would really request you to open the group for another 5 minutes. So we are at 7:20. Keep it open till 7:30. Yeah. Okay. So this is a question which I have. Okay. A university. I've said university here because I see a lot of professors from different university here. A university wants to know if students are happy with the new online library system. Okay. And the study wants to look at 10,000 students across 5 different departments. Okay. In what ways will we draw our sample? So I want whatever comes to your mind, I want to just write in the chat box. Admin, can I please request you to open the chat box for next 10 minutes? This should not take more than 5 minutes for you all to do that. So Okay. 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 Wow. Yeah, very nice. I'm so glad to look at um, the technical terms coming in. Stratified sampling. Stratified sampling again. We can randomly assign the students from different department using rule numbers in a lottery method. Fantastic. Um, Taking 200 from each department. 200 from each department would be a sample of 5 into 2. Okay. But that means you're going to take 1,000 out of 10,000. You will take 1,000, which is about 10%, Mr. Navjeet Singh. Okay. And quota sampling. Okay. Simple random fishbowl method. Department wise, use stratified sampling techniques. Thank you. So yeah, this group is very well aware about sampling, and that's why I said we can move a little quicker on this. But yeah, divide students into 5 stratas, 5 departments. Okay, then randomly sample from each department proportionally. Stratified random sampling method. Thank you, Dr. Arifa. Systemic sampling can be done choosing every nth student from an order list of 10,000, which means like every 100th student. Okay. Thank you, Vidushi. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Somebody says purposive sampling cannot be done, can also be done. Select students. Those who use library resources regularly. Fantastic. Fantastic. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so thank you for responses quickly coming in, and we are going to quickly run through these slides as revision. These are the sampling methods. As many of you said, random sampling, simple random, systemic, stratified, cluster, area, quota sampling, somebody said, snowballing. Um, so, um, so yes, this the purpose of doing a specific group of individuals who can actually participate in the research is our main aim. And rather than looking at the definitions here, I would simply go here, which is more representative for you to see. Simple random, as you can see on the top left, is randomly looking at 2, 5, 9, 13 as a sample. A systemic way every fourth. So you look at every fourth participant coming in. In a stratified way, you divide the sample into a homogeneous stratum 1, standard 2, and 3, and then from that subgroup derive your sample cluster. Cluster is usually done when there is a multi-district or a multi. It works very well with a multi-district, multi-village kind of a setting, where you draw a sample from a large population to further go into at a level of district, and further to the village level, and then do your choices. Uh, okay. Convenience sampling, somebody said right now purposes sampling. So convenience sampling is completely based on researchers' ease. Convenience sampling can also be snowballing, where you start at one and then you snowball and pick up whom you choose, and this works pretty well in terms of reference. So I'll give an example. So in my thesis work, when I was looking at a victim of burns and PTSD, the post-traumatic stress disorder, I went from as a with purposive sample way because there are far and few um, a burn victims and burn victims who actually have any kind of stress disorder post that. So and those who would be agreed to the part of the study. So it was a purposive convenient sampling for me. Yeah. So yeah, this is just quick revision. Um, so when do so I still get confused with this, with the sense that what that sample, good sample is. So in my experience, not statistically, it is actually my experience. Usually it happens that we propose a sample of say 15% of coverage of the project universe, and of course with sample and data collection there comes cost, and sometimes we have to reduce our sample not on the basis of the calculated way in which we have arrived at formula based where we have arrived at a sample size, but we have to take a call on the basis of what kind of budget is available on the other side. So these are practical realities, and which kind of this happens all the time, and उसमें हम कुछ कर नहीं सकते, but have to revise your uh, yeah. Okay, now the next 15-20 minutes we will look at some analysis framework. This audience would be quite aware of, but I would again look at these, because this is where actually all of these input into when you are actually building a good proposal document is again okay. So what are the quantitative data analysis framework? We'll also look at what is generally used in order to compute this and take out as product. This is basic of descriptive stats, very easily done from MS Microsoft Excel and pivot tables. It's very easily done. What I also see nowadays a good use of uh, two of the ways in which you can actually feed in the data. So there is this one option in Canva itself. So or Power BI. So you put in your data and it turns out great infographics. So it was not earlier the case. So your Excel produces graph which are very basic, and you kind of have to do with the colors which Excel has to offer. But nowadays Power BI and design tools have inbuilt basic graphics to an extent where they do scatter graph very well, or any of these graphic representation very well. Inferential statistics, this make prediction. That is where your ANOVA comes in, there your regression analysis comes in, your regressions come in. Factor analysis, this is where multiple factors, it reduces the complex data by identifying underlying variables, factors, and explains the pattern of correlation. So what factor analysis does is it condenses the data from large number of variables to a smaller number of variables and try and look at and multiple factors having its effect on the observed variables. Social network analysis. This I came to know fairly new, and when I studied, I did not come across this, but it analyzes your social relationship between groups or individual groups, and how this is very widely used in media and media studies, and it is also quite widely used when you're looking at looking at a bird's eye view of a particular program. Again, taking an example of say a government program where it is looking at a district level, a watershed program or a sanitation program, and how different social relationships between at a district level influences, and what kind of weightage do you put to different influencing groups. So this is something which is very interestingly done these days. In a qualitative framework, we have thematic analysis. It looks at coding qualitative data, developing codes, and then themes. Um, this could be interview, this could be text, this could be transcripts, where thematic analysis can be ran through. Content analysis, I've taken one example here. Content analysis can be, again, it is similar to narrative and thematic analysis, but this particularly looks at more of concepts and more of interpretation of the maybe same words, but what it actually means. I've just taken an example here. Like, for example, there is an election speech of a politician, and there are different themes which politicians usually talk about. They talk about welfare, they talk about um, freedom, democracy, progress, development. These are things which they normally talk about. So what a qualitative content analysis would do is make sure that the underlying meanings of these words is it same for each speaker? Is it done in a different context? Is it done in a different way? So it kind of goes into a deeper level of speech analysis. Content analysis is that's how it is different from the earlier one, which is thematic analysis. Grounded theory. This is where I grounded my dissertation when I was studying, and I don't use this very often. I use more of thematic and narrative analysis more than grounded theory. But this is again looking at an iterative process in which you kind of arrive at you kind of let the theory, your assumptions drive after you look at the data over and over again. So it's ground data, looking at codes, and creating themes, sub themes, tags, and create concept maps, and then let the analysis evolve where the data is actually taking you to. So that's where it is a bottom-up process, very tiresome. If you do it do it in a way, pen and paper and putting it in Excel, but these days you run it through a lot of softwares, which is fantastic and quite easy. Discourse analysis. Discourse analysis is how about discourse is conversations. Uh, it is the way in which a particular wave of opinions and larger opinions and facts move towards. So this examines this is used in media pretty well. This looks at language communication and how it shapes social discourses or meanings to a particular phenomenon. It can provide an interdisciplinary working environment. There are a lot of specialists, there are language experts, social sciences, political science, people who kind of specialize in doing this. Again, this reveals themes, patterns, relationship between text and where the conversation is actually leading towards. There's narrative analysis. This is again widely used one. These are focused on the stories and experiences told by individuals. So this works very well in case studies. It works very well in IDIs. And if you have select 20 IDIs and you want to figure out how to analyze these, you can actually look at narrative analysis and thematic analysis, because what it does is it allows you to organize your data which is collected from say 20 IDIs, and then once you look at it, it starts emerging key commonalities and then differentiators as well, and then you start make meanings of how many people go towards certain in a certain question in a certain way, and then what are those different responses, and then which then helps you to report in a certain way. So yeah, this is about narrative analysis, and this is my last slide, which is how do all of this gets analyzed. So yeah, we do have MS Excel is fantastic for small data. It does work very well. SPSS data, RStudio, Python is something which is widely used for a large scale quant data. For qualitative data, we have NVivo, Atlas TI. Atlas TI is something and which I've used. NVivo is also something which I've used, and does pretty well. DDoS I haven't used, but yeah, we do have MaxQDA and DDoS as well. Um, these days also, if you want to run through a quick analysis, Google LM is what I've been hearing. Students use it. I don't know if it works pretty well, but yeah, that's also something which I've heard people use it. Okay. Okay, so yeah, so this is what I have for you all today. Um, and yeah, so if there are any questions, please you can ask. I don't know if I'll be able to answer all, but I will try and take as much as possible. Or we have about 7 minutes, and I'll also brief the group what we are going to do tomorrow. Tomorrow, we will again do a couple of small exercises, and we will also kind of look at certain experience sharing within the group of what kind of proposals have you guys written or aim to write. We will also look at what is the ideal size of a proposal, how does it start, what are the bare minimum things which one needs to take care of, what are the common causes of rejection. So we kind of actually be culminating tomorrow of what we have covered in last 2 days to in the framework of in the realm of proposal writing. Okay, yeah, so this is where my today's um, story ends. So yeah, thank you all. It was wonderful, and I know some of it might be like a quick, um, some of the aspect might be like really quick um, revision of certain aspects, but these are important when we look uh, at what you want to produce at the end of the day, which is a solid proposal. Yeah. Anything else which the group wants to ask, wants to quickly check on? Thank you. I know I enjoyed as well. Thank you very much. Yeah, I hope it is helpful. When I prepare, it is helpful for me as well, because I'm also with you revising a lot of my basics, and we need to keep going back to our basics all the time. So yeah, so thank you for this. Okay, so I'll see you all tomorrow, and we will cover what I mentioned. I will put that slide back. What are we going to cover tomorrow? Yeah, this is what we are going to look at. I'll also try and cover what is the uh, ecosystem, at least what I'm aware of in India, with in terms of who all does what kind of research work, and um, what are the possibilities in which one can actually go out and submit research proposals, etc. So, so yeah, this is what we are going to cover tomorrow. Okay, okay. So thank you all, and I'll see you tomorrow. Okay. Admin, can I log off? Is it okay? We have finished little before time.
Yes,
For
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. No problem. We can wind up for
yes.
today. Dear
Okay.
participants, see you all tomorrow.
Okay. See you tomorrow. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah.